Hi everyone, my name's Ryan. I'm a former commando from the United Kingdom, and today we've got another update for Ukraine. We are on day 223, and today's date is the 4th of October, troops. So thanks for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. We're not going to waste any time on the introductions today. Just like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and we'll be on to a good one. We've got some fantastic news for you guys, and the question I'm going to pose to you right off the bat is, do we have another major counter-offensive in the Ukraine in a different region? Because the reason I'm saying it is the way things are going in South Ukraine near Kherson, there certainly looks to be monumental progress taking place in and around the local settlements there and in and around the local river. It's massive, guys. We're going to get into a map study. We've got some news from the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, and we've got some other stuff we're going to get into, as well as a little bit of footage. So let's get straight into it, troops. So as you can see here, we're going to rewind back to the beginning of the month. A few days ago, nothing major happening on the Kherson front. As you can see here, we zoom out, everything's happening in the north with the counteroffensive up there. Now, did you see this coming? Because what I'm about to show you is we're just going to start fast forwarding. Oh, little bit of something there in Oskarivka on the 2nd, and on the 3rd, massive push there into settlements, Kreshnivka, and there's a lot of Balka. That's on the 2nd. Now, if you look in the latter part of the 2nd, i.e. the afternoon time, maybe it's a little bit later, we've seen other settlements taking place here, other parts of land being taken to the western part of that, with the intention of probably closing the gap. We only have to go to the 3rd to see that they've pushed south of that river system there. They've took control of a lot of land there. A lot of urban land as well when we're looking at these areas. And by urban, I mean, obviously these bits here, there's quite a lot of farmland as well adjacent to that. But, to take any kind of land near prominent features such as river systems, it's quite tough. So these settlements have been taken now. A lot of farmland in between. And then, boom, we see the land opening up. And then today, all of this being taken. All right, massive amounts of land. This bit here is unconfirmed. Obviously, tomorrow that'll probably be blue and under Ukrainian command, so to speak. But if you look at the significance of that, they're pushing towards Kherson pretty quick, and they seem to be doing it rather rapidly. So it's not just a sign that morale is running low in the north, and we'll get to the north after this. There's a massive front opening up in the southern region. I see a lot of development here. Maybe they're going to try and engulf everyone from two sides, north and south, which is fantastic, troops. But let's just get into a little bit of stuff talking about that. We'll get into a map study again, but this is important information, guys. Now, the Defense Ministry in Kyiv posted a video showing the 35th Marine Brigade hoisting a Ukrainian flag above Davdiv Brid amid reports of several other nearby villages being recaptured. So, Ukraine have really pushed hard in the Kherson region. It's really promising. Now, Russian forces have already been forced to retreat in Ukraine's northeast. We've seen that yesterday. We're going to go over that again today because there's massive movements there. Just when you think the pace is going to slow down, it seems to be heightening back up, but in two directions now, which is really good. They're effectively fighting on two fronts now in terms of a counteroffensive. Two major fronts within Ukraine, and it's extremely promising, guys. I'm really excited about this. But their latest setback, it came as President Putin was due to sign into force decrees annexing 4 Ukrainian regions while war was raging in all 4 of those regions, which make of it as you wish. Now, the annexation, as most of us would agree, has no legitimacy under international law, and Ukrainian President Zelenskyy has declared them null and void. I'm in complete agreement with that. It's a time of war. He's trying to annex these regions. It goes without saying, guys. I agree with the statement. It's null and void as well. I'd be interested to hear what you have to say on that one. But international law is international law. You either follow it or you don't. That's what democracy in modern day society goes by. So, that's what I'm going to go with as well. Now, President Joe Biden, good old Joe, Sleepy Joe, whatever you want to call him, guys. He spoke to Mr. Zelenskyy on Tuesday today and assured him the US would never recognize Russia annexations. They would also discuss £625 million of US aid, including HIMARS rocket launches. That's extra. We know that they've totaled, I think it's over 18 billions worth of aid to Ukraine at this moment in time. So yeah, the 625 million, although it's a lot, is it's chicken feed, as Boris Johnson would say. Now, Russia still controls Kherson city. That's the main thing we need to recognize here. It's not. There's a long way to go yet, all right? And that fight and push to Kherson city in and around this area here is going to be a tough one. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to be a quick one in terms of the way they're pushing, although it is quick, all right? They've took over this land here, and they've took over this land here, soon to be here and here as well. I think the probably is going to push on down this direction pretty quick. But I don't want to get my hopes up, guys. Don't want to get my hopes up. We're going to control a lot of the north region and then push on south, taking Kherson city. If they take Kherson, the settlements, few and far between, will be taken and overrun pretty soon. But where do the Russians get out in terms of this area? Over the Kherson River? I'm not too sure about that route. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that. But I think they've picked up momentum with Kherson. But be rest assured, guys, it'll be a tough fight, that one. That will be a tough area to take. And in my opinion, I think Kherson may even be tougher than Kupiansk. Kupiansk had its own difficulties for its own reasons. We had that Oskil Reservoir and everything else to contend with. But I personally think Kherson will be a long way harder, just because of how built up the area is, how built up some of the areas can be leading up to it. It's going to be a full frontal attack. You're going to be moving forward, taking over villages, and this is going to be really, really tough. There's going to be many battles fought in the settlements leading up to Kherson. Kherson will be the big take, but then you've got the river systems and everything that are adjacent to that. Really, really hard one this is going to be, okay, guys? But in the past 48 hours, Ukrainian forces have pushed south along the west bank of the river, and Russian units have now been forced to pull back from several settlements in the north of Kherson region too. Mr. Zelenskyy said Ukrainian forces had made fast, powerful movements in southern Ukraine and liberated dozens of settlements this week alone. Now, the Ukrainian flag flies again over the village of Davdivbrid. Ukraine's defense ministry proclaimed on social media, and residents filmed Ukrainian soldiers walking through the village. That's fantastic news, guys, for the local residents there. I can't begin to describe to you how happy I am for those locals. That's what it's all about, all right? We've got people moving back into their homes. This is positive news, troops, and positive news indeed, okay? So although there's no sound on this video, but this video basically shows the Ukrainian armed forces who returned the Ukrainian flag to its rightful place in the liberated areas in the Kherson region. So this is significant, troops. You can see the smile on their faces, and that's their land. It might just be a stick with a flag on to many people not in that region, but to them, it's an extremely significant point in time, okay? It's the turning point for Kherson, and I generally believe this is the next major counter-offensive that we're witnessing, and maybe it's going to go the same way as it happened in the north and east, okay? But this is fantastic, guys. I'm really, really happy indeed, and we all should be happy about this, okay? So with all that being said, all that being shown with the map study and everything else, let's take a look at what the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense has to say on the matter with regards to today's news, because it is monumental for the Kherson region, guys. Let's jump straight into it. So I'm going to highlight this for you guys. Now, listen to the words here, okay? Because this really gets me, and I think this kind of news needs to be heard, okay? So hopefully I can do a good job of it. Now, the Ukrainian army is carrying out a pretty fast and powerful advance in the south of our country, addressed by Zelenskyy, President Zelenskyy. Now, he says, good health to you, fellow Ukrainians. Today, we've got some good news both from the front line and from the diplomatic front. First, the Ukrainian army is carrying out a pretty fast and powerful advance in the south of our country as part of the current defense operation. Dozens of settlements have already been liberated from the Russian sham referendum this week alone. in Kherson region, Kharkiv region, Luhansk region, and Donetsk altogether. In particular, according to the military reports from the Kherson region, the settlements, as you can read there, I don't want to do them any bad justice by mispronouncing them, were liberated from the occupier and stabilized. That's a key thing, that, guys. It's not just being liberated, it's being stabilized in the process. It's being made safe enough for people to return to their homes. It's really key that. And stabilization, they don't need, you need to remember this, they don't need to leave troops behind once they've liberated them towns, because it's their own town. They just move on to the next fight. That's really key. So no more Russians there, all right? Just friendly faces. And this is far from a complete list. Our warriors do not stop, and it's only a matter of time before we oust the occupier from all our land. I've held a series of important negotiations today, President Zelenskyy said. First in the afternoon, he spoke with Prime Minister of India. I informed Modi about the situation on the front line, about the success of our military. He says he presented in detail his view of Russian recent escalation steps. It is the Kremlin that is doing absolutely everything for this war to end only on the battlefield, not at the negotiating table. That's really key, that, guys. All right. It's very true as well. We've seen that. Putin is adamant that this is going to be settled on the battlefield, not on the negotiations table. That's why we have politics for. So this stuff doesn't have to happen, but it's happening, okay? And it's pitiful. And the rest of the world is in agreement with that as well, that irrespective of what side you're on, you have to agree that war in itself is wrong. If you can't negotiate on the table, what are we voting people in for? This should be the way forward, negotiations, but it hasn't been the case for Ukrainians. And a lot of people have lost their lives for that matter, right? Now, Russia responds to various Ukrainian proposals to stop aggression and liberate our territory with terror, criminal mobilization, and political farce. And this is a threat to any state in any part of the world. Key that. After all, if someone tries to steal the territory of a neighboring people, then some others may have a similar desire. So what that's saying is, if we let this go, if we accept this in 2022, then maybe other people, other countries might get the similar idea. Go, hey, you know what? That looks like a nice bit of land, nice bit of resources there. I'm going to try my luck and try and see if I can get it. It's not the way to do things, all right? Not in 2022 anyway. And that is why we call on all subjects of international relations who respect international law to stand up for its basic principles and confirm their respect, in particular for the principle of the invulnerability in borders and the territorial integrity of the states. He believes that this is the same fundamental principle for India as it is for Ukraine. All right, so there's been quite a bit of speaking in that regard to Modi, because you see that India is quite close with Russia in terms of they're buying things off them, they're buying resources and stuff, and they've got a bit of a friendship there, okay, which is fine. We need healthy relationships in this world, but we need people to also condemn horrific actions, okay, and that's what I will always stick by, guys, okay. So yeah. So with all that being said, let's take a look at what's going on in the east of Kharkiv. There has been some major updates, all right? Not just the south we're talking about here. The counter-offensive definitely continues, and it's sprung into action a little bit more. The heat is on, and the momentum is well and truly underway, guys. Let's take a look at the deep state map on this one. Look at the region. The last time we updated this, we did a few days worth of update. Now the 3rd, we see another big push. We see another big push. On the 4th, we see all of that land collapse, and Ukraine has authority there. Look at this. This is phenomenal. So we've seen massive amounts of traction, and I predicted on the 3rd, when we seen that they took Borova, I honestly, if you check back my video, I predicted that whether they push down or push up from Borova, it's going to look something like this. And exactly that has happened, okay? Bang, bang. That's been taken. I wasn't expecting this little spur here. But as always, Ukraine seems to allow for a bit of a rite of passage, or a bit of a passage out of there, guys. Okay, I have noticed that this seems to be another push. They're pushing to try and claim land further inwards now. I wasn't expecting it to be there though. So here, maybe there's a little spur off here potentially to take these settlements. But troops, what can you say? This here is fantastic news. Now, there's a little bit of information that I was given, and upon a bit of a map study, we can actually tell what this type of land is. I was asking the question, why are we not seeing anyone claim this area here? Why is it that we're not seeing Russia and we're not seeing Ukraine attempt to claim this land? Why is there no movement on that? Well, the answer is really, really simple. And it's so obvious now that I've done a little bit of a map study as well as having a little bit of information from some of the guys and girls on this chat. I think, see here, a little bit of woodland here, a little bit of woodland. But what's adjacent to that woodland is water. Water and wood, you know, a lot of the time turns into mud. So this here is effectively bogland. Most of this is very, very boggy land, you know, useless in terms of anything to do with military tactics and stuff like that. You wouldn't have no use for this land. You wouldn't be able to operate effectively. You can't necessarily put troops here. You can't occupy it in any way. It's just, it's dead man's land. Okay, that can't really be used. So that's the reason why. You can take the surrounding areas, or you can take these areas here. But as you push a little bit further north, you can see this here is just complete bogland, all right? And especially with the fact that it's getting a lot wetter there as well, the rain and the cold weather's coming in, this area is pointless. It has no strategic value at all. So that's probably why you're not even going to see these areas just south of that bogland affected at all. So that's the reason on that, troops. But massive, massive momentum that's been taking place, and long may it continue. Now, where does it go from here? This is the bit where I come unstuck, because I was initially thinking that, well, this area is going to be taken by Ukraine potentially. Are they going to push a little bit further north and reclaim the whole of this border? There's no real reason for them to do that here. There is a reason, and it's taking back their country. But in terms of tactically, do they need to push far north to the border? I would say no. This area here fundamentally is useful because of the feature that's involved, the Oskill Reservoir. And all of the land pushing this way is useful because it's the bulk of where they're trying to regain land from. There's a lot of settlements here. So what do I see taking place now? Now that they've got a lot of the supply routes, Lehman has been taken, which is good for logistics. I see them pushing further east and continuing their operations just like they did in the northern part of this region. Okay, we've seen it happen here. We've seen them push right across, and I think that's going to be a similar story. All right, guys. So really, really simple. Nothing too what's the word? I don't want to get too tactical in what's going to happen, but quite simply, we're going to probably be looking at a steady progress eastwards, and yeah, I think that's going to be on the move. In the next couple of days, we're going to see that line trickle forward. So we've effectively got a bit of a front line here now, and hopefully that extends eastward, guys. The more east they can take, the more north they can cover. It doesn't look too good for any of the regions south there, Donetsk, Luhansk, all of these regions, guys. So there's a lot happening. It's really, really promising, and I'm really happy with that up to date. I think what's happened in Kherson today is the start of hopefully a major counter-offensive in the south region, and yeah, I think the counter-offensive down there is going to be really, really successful based on the momentum that they've had in both regions. So that tells a story about their ability to resupply, sustain the fighting. Morale's on their side. It's gaining a lot of momentum now. It's like a snowball going downhill. The snowball effect, all right? The snowball is getting bigger now. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. Positivity, let's keep our fingers crossed for Ukraine. Guys, if you're still here, thank you. I really do appreciate the support. If you can share these videos, please, please, please share these videos. Drop as many comments as you want below and smash that like button, guys. But, you know, irrespective of any of that, I just want to say thank you for being here. And if you want to become a member to help the channel grow, press that join button, guys. Other than that, I will see you in the comments. Thank you.